It was New Year's Day, 2014. 21-year-old Otto and a group of weary travelers stood side by side, ready to present their passports at the bustling Pyongyang airport. After a long night of celebrating the new year at Pyongyang's main square, the tour group were ready to leave. A single desk awaited them, manned by officials who seemed to take an uncomfortably long time checking their documents. As the tension in the air thickened, the two men noticed the officer's intense focus on his paperwork. Just when he began to wonder about the cause of this delay, two soldiers suddenly appeared. One of them, with a stern expression, reached out and tapped Otto on the shoulder. Otto, confused and nervous, was led through a wooden door behind the check-in area, where he was detained and later sentenced to 15 years of hard labor. This is a story of a curious young traveler who ventured into the heart of a closed-off nation, a family's agonizing quest for answers, and the eye-opening human rights issues in a foreign country. In the quiet suburb of Cincinnati, Ohio, a promising young man named Otto lived a life filled with dreams and aspirations. Born into a loving family, Otto had always been known for his adventurous spirit and insatiable curiosity. Otto excelled in academics, graduating from Wyoming High School in 2013 as his class salutatorian and getting a scholarship to the University of Virginia. There, he studied commerce and economics and was a member of the Theta Chi fraternity. For those of you not familiar with this story, Otto's passion would lead him on a trip of a lifetime to North Korea. But little did he know, this trip would ultimately change the course of his life forever. In the spring of 2016, signed up for a trip to North Korea with the Young Pioneer Tours travel group, a company that takes participants to places they wouldn't normally go. Past travelers had ventured into Central Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. When winter of that year rolled around, Otto joined a small tour group bound for the mysterious land of North Korea. After spending some time in Beijing, China, on December 29th of 2015, he continued his journey boarding a flight to Pyongyang International Airport. As he stepped off the plane into a completely foreign environment, skyscrapers cast shadows on the eerily empty streets, and giant statues of the country's leaders, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, loomed over the landscape. He knew that he was stepping into a different world, a place with its own set of rules, but he had no idea just how different it would be. During his stay, Otto was aware of the strict rules imposed by the North Korean government. He and his fellow tourists were under constant surveillance, and they were forbidden to take photos without permission, prohibited from speaking to locals, and were even told how to bow before the statues of the leaders. After a long day of sightseeing in Pyongyang, the tour group celebrated New Year's Eve exploring Pyongyang's main square, visiting fancy bars before returning to the Yankado International Hotel, where some of the group went bowling while the others continued drinking alcohol at the hotel bar. At 3 a.m., a black silhouette would be seen on grainy surveillance footage taking down a propaganda poster from a staff-only area of the hotel. It was alleged by other members of the tour group that this was also around the time Otto was unaccounted for during the night. On the last day of the 5-day trip, as he tried to depart from Pyongyang's airport, he was stopped in security. The North Korean authorities swiftly apprehended Otto, accusing him of committing a hostile act against the state without specifying further details. North Korea refused to elaborate on the precise nature of his wrongdoing for 6 weeks, although a Young Pioneer spokeswoman advised the press that there had been an incident at the Yankado Hotel. Otto was taken to a detention center and was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor. Otto would later learn that damaging or stealing such items with the name or image of a North Korean leader is considered a serious crime by the North Korean government. The next time the world saw Warmbier, he was distraught. breaking down in front of Korean journalists in a video released by North Korea in February of 2016. He admitted to the crime and begged for forgiveness and for his release.
Crime of taking out the important political slogan from the staff-only area of the Yangakdo International Hotel, aimed at harming the work ethic and the motivation of the Korean people. I understand the severity of my crime, and I have no idea what sort of penalty I may face. But I am begging to the Korean people and government for my forgiveness, and I am praying to the heavens so that I may be returned home to my family. I have been very impressed by the Korean government's humanitarian treatment of severe criminals like myself.
Korea, for your forgiveness. Please, I have made the worst mistake of my life.
It is not known whether his confession was forced or voluntary. During his time in captivity, he was allegedly subjected to grueling interrogations and endured physical and psychological torture. After 17 months, Otto would fall into a coma under mysterious circumstances. On June 13, 2017, after many negotiations between the US and North Korean government, Otto was finally released and was taken by medical aircraft to the US. But he returned home to Cincinnati in a vegetative state. He was unable to speak, unable to see, and unable to react to verbal commands. He had been in a coma for over a year, and his once vibrant spirit was replaced by a shell of his former self. His family, overjoyed to have him back, were heartbroken by his condition. After his parents requested his feeding tube be removed, Warmbier died in the hospital at 2:20 p.m. on June 19, 2017, at the age of 22, leaving the nation in mourning. His family issued a statement expressing their sadness, thanking the hospital staff for their actions. The young man who had ventured to the other side of the world seeking adventure had instead found tragedy beyond imagination. In 2019, Kim Dong-chul, a Korean-American businessman detained in North Korea at the same time as Warmbier but released to the US in 2018, said he had witnessed a young American man, presumably Warmbier, almost fainting, being dragged across a hallway by investigators with his head and face soaked with water. Kim suggested Warmbier may have been a victim of water torture during his interrogation, as Kim himself had suffered similar treatment during captivity. Although Otto's family said his teeth had been rearranged and his hands and feet were disfigured, a medical examiner in the US has said that Otto Warmbier's body displayed no obvious signs of torture. It was concluded that Otto died of lack of oxygen and blood to the brain, and his neurological condition could not be explained. A funeral for Warmbier was held on June 22, 2017, at Wyoming High School, where more than 2,500 mourners attended. He was buried at Oak Hill Cemetery in Glendale, Ohio, and students tied ribbons on every tree and pole along the 3-mile route taken by the funeral procession from the high school to the cemetery. North Korea has continually denied allegations that Otto was tortured while in their captivity. The Young Pioneer Tour Company announced it would no longer accept American citizens on its tours, while in 2017, the US government put a ban on Americans from traveling to North Korea because of what happened to Otto Warmbier. It should be noted that it is unclear from the surveillance footage whether it was in fact Warmbier who pulled down the propaganda poster on that fateful night. Assuming that it was, commentators have pointed to Warmbier's perceived naivete as contributing to his fate. In the end, Otto Warmbier's journey to North Korea became a haunting tale of tragedy, one that continues to raise questions about the nature of power and secrets hidden behind closed borders. This story serves as a chilling reminder of the consequences that can arise from even the smallest missteps in a country where the rules are drastically different.